Aloha. With this video, I wanted to jump off not an idea, but something that came up I've been speaking about for a while now, referring to the New Age connection to the New World Order or the Old World Order and so on and so forth. Specifically surrounding the mainstream media. I'm sorry, I'm watching actually the end of this video that you're looking at right now. And the end of it is just it's a parody of these fake psychics that are on television, like when they go on the Montel Williams show, or anyway, I just thought this was interesting because John Oliver is another character that's being projected into the mainstream circuit as like something or somebody you should pay attention to, with all his Emmy Award winning stuff. This is the thing that I said before: when you understand that information or they're put out there to look bad, other things are put out there to look good. So just as they like build up characters or actors that don't even really know how to act, they put them in your face. Well, there's a reason for that. Same thing with musicians. So this is the same thing goes for topics, information. So if they put certain information on a certain platform that they want the information to go viral as, or the perspective to go hard as, like they want that perspective to be real in people's like sink deep, they put it on their biggest platform, or they put it on the most effective outlet. So John Oliver is one of those. So when I saw him talking about psychics, I was like, oh, okay, well, I got to see, what perspective they're coming from. Obviously, they're going to make fun of it, but, what to what degree, like what's going to be their intention. You won't really know what their intention is until you piece it together with all the other things, because this is an actual move. Otherwise, they would just ignore that sort of thing. Anyway, why would the thing that I was realizing is that, well, obviously, it's kind of like, why would the mainstream media acknowledge flat Earth in the first place, but they acknowledged it by making fun of it? Well, the same thing goes for why would this system acknowledge psychics, and when that's all woo-woo stuff? Well, they acknowledge it to make fun of it. Okay, well, what's behind it? The same thing that's behind like flat Earth. Not exactly the same thing, but the same kind of energy, to be very general, information in reference to the empowerment of the individual, a deeper interpretation of the self and the experience as a whole. So if you look more into yourself, that needs to be commercialized in some way. If you look into the earth, that needs to be commercialized in some way. So in order to get the majority of people who are not thinking for themselves, they have to attack their emotional, basic instinct, sort of lower primal perspectives of reality. So they make you laugh, they make you cry, they make you hypersexualized. It makes you very tired and stressed out and fearful and chaotic and so on and so forth. And all this is creating instability and more codependency in their universe. So one thing that I was seeing that was not only happening with this make fun of / make you pay attention to thing is this deification of, or deifying of, rational thought, or the rational mentality. So the rational, sort of rationalization, that rational consciousness is actually a subcategory that stems off of the authority that comes from the university system, the so-called intellect, the so-called consciousness of the university system, which is largely, it's more so a mind control program. So you can't even really categorize it as education or intellect when its real intention is to control. It's not education. Its intention is to control and actually limit education. So it's no longer an education system. It's like getting your elementary school diploma in prison. Like, well, first of all, what the fuck is an elementary school diploma? Second of all, like, are we not talking about the prison industrial complex? Like, is that not? So you see how many layers of approach or empowerment that we are separated from, even, you know, speaking to the issues at hand. We're not even there yet. But we're kept from going there because, let me turn at least something on in the back. Kept from going there because if we go anywhere else, that's threatening. If you thought anywhere else, it's threatening. So this is why individuals, Emmy-nominated, multi-Emmy-nominated and award-winning Emmy-nominated individuals have to talk about information that is very deep, that is potentially deep in your reality, in order to dumb it down to keep you down. This is the intention of all the Hollywood in general, period. Netflix, social media, anything connected to the Western mindset or Western consciousness. This is its intention to maintain power and control, nothing less, and nothing more. So anyway, deifying this system. This is also loosely confirmed for me when I was in a so-called New Age community in a little restaurant there that had all these, and people know what I'm talking about. They have all these I can't remember what comedian it was that says, why do white people really love like spiritual brown people? So it had just like a long list of pictures of spiritual brown people, mostly like from India, or like just like all these, you know, down to black and white images of, it started out like Muji, and you know, went down the line, and towards the end of the line on the other side, I saw Mother Teresa. And I instantly went to what Mother Teresa was really about, like her connection to the colonial storyline and that whole thing. And then you can easily find any kind of, I think it was like a Huntington Post image that I found that was, you know, painting Mother Teresa in a colonial light. So how the hell could she be a saint in all this if she's pushing the colonial agenda? So anyway, that's where I was coming from. But you could see that as this system, this is in a New Age community. It's being, the largest part of that perspective is being ignored. For what purpose? To deify the system through deifying the people who back up that system or who ignore that system. So she achieved sainthood within the ignorance of the colonial system. This is Mother Teresa. And now, in order to keep the attention away from you realizing that whole reality, individuals who achieve sainthood within that colonial matrix have to be deified. So in deifying her, they deify what she protected and ignored. And they can just do that by controlling your focus of attention. This is why there are no, you know, African spiritualists on that long list of brown people. They got light brown people like from India. This is all the people that these are all people that so-called white people, you know, put up on a pedestal because of their relationship to a spiritual thought or spiritual reality, perspective. But it's all like ignoring, in many cases, for example, the stuff that I pay attention to on this channel. Kenya, chill out. Why are you making all that noise? Hey, chill out. Damn, maybe I lost my train of thought now. Alright, what was that? Deifying the system. Because I wanted to jump back to something else. It was... So control... Anyway, this whole matrix, this intellectual matrix, Kenya, you found the loudest thing to do, and you just doing it just because you want some attention, don't you? All right, I'm about to change the music now. Cause you be an asshole. He don't care. You don't care, Kenya. Alright, here we go. I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna get back to my train of thought. Just give me a moment. I gotta readjust. Yeah, whatever, Kenya. Okay. So deifying the system by deifying the individuals who both consciously and subconsciously, or one or the other, protect or back this system, or remain consciously ignorant of this system. These television shows do that through your subconscious. You activate it through thinking that you know what's going on consciously. It becomes your conscious reality from the subconscious implant. Your realistic conscious relationship to the new age psychics, these television shows on these psychic networks, real psychics, all this stuff gets jumbled up. This creates a great divide in your conscious reality when something like this gets, you know, put on television, because now it's bridging two worlds. They are firmly saying, this is what we think about this kind of relationship, and this is what you think and feel about this kind of relationship. My point is that just acknowledging psychics the way they acknowledge it, realize that there's no separation between John Oliver and the same people and consciousness beings or whatever that put the psychics on the channels in the first place. The same people who are making fun of the psychics are the same people who put the psychics on Montel Williams and all the Dr. Oz show and all these morning Joes, you know, the TV shows. It's the same story. So why would they first do it for your so-called benefit, then make fun of it? Because they're going from using it. They need it. It's the atmosphere, the universe that's being sold. The universe is being sold. The universe that surrounds psychics existing around you is being sold to you. And it can't be sold to you by your own thought. It has to be sold to you with like stipulations, with order, with definitions of how to think and feel about this stuff. This is what John Oliver represents. This is what all of Hollywood and the way they tell you these stories, the Glass movie, all this other stuff, like these are all mind control programs, nothing less. The television shows like the Russian doll breakdown that I went into, like there's no coincidence that, you know, that's coming out at the same time. They're talking about like all the CERN, quantum mechanics, quantum physics, timelines, interdimensional, you know, doorways and all that other stuff. Reincarnation, that's a very spiritual stuff thing too. So you got Russian doll, they're talking about this. This is the new age activation that I had been referencing in previous videos that happens after the system is appearing to be imploding. It's just changing, shifting one perspective to another. Can you leave that alone? Get out of there. Quit fucking with everything. It ain't even 8 o'clock yet. You already fucking with some shit. Get out of there. Let's see. So, rational deification. Yeah, Mother Teresa. So the same thing that is going on with the like Mother Teresa and the colonial stuff. A more obvious storyline would be Barack Obama getting the Nobel Peace Prize in like 4 months after being president, you know, for his actions or whatever it is, knowing just like the Nobel Peace Prize is like the Oscars or the Grammys. It's the same, or the Emmys. That's what the Nobel Peace Prize is, the Oscars for politics or the university system. So it's there to sell you an agenda. This TV show is there to not only sell, this is what I'm trying to portray with this video, is I'm trying to say is that it's not only selling you a thought process about a universe, it's selling you a construct, another matrix of how to think about the next universe that is being commercialized. So they actually needed to sell those psychics to you in the 80s and the 90s on those TV shows so that they could make fun of it today. It's not separate. It's not separate. That's why it was sold to you. But the way he's selling it to you now is if there's two different people, like HBO is different from CNN and MSNBC. The fuck? So the same way they're selling you that Democrats are different than Republicans. This is all the chaos alchemy that, you know, people fall into because we don't know how to think. We think we're thinking, but we don't know how to think. So our thoughts are pre-thought, pre-chewed for us. Our deities are pre-chosen for us. So our universes are pre-created for us. And then we end up in this hamster wheel within a fishbowl universe, thinking we know what's going on. So specifically this psychics thing is out there to, one, control the dialogue, shut down certain perspectives, and also generate this conversation, like create a dialogue about this so that it could be manipulated at a later date, because it's going to grow. This is like a seed. The John Oliver show is a comedic seed that gets planted, and all of the stories that are inside of that seed, they bloom at different times later on down in the commercial timeline that the system wants to play at whatever time. So there's no separation between this television show you're seeing right now, looking at right now, Psychics on HBO, John Oliver's HBO show, and the 2020 election. Do we not think that the politicians are not going to come at this, you know, what's going on from a so-called spiritual, or start talking about like so-called new age perspectives? You're talking about shifting from the masculine, at least on the commercial side, this especially because that's all it is. It's the commercial shift of consciousness. The commercial shift of consciousness from the masculine or the patriarchy to the feminine, or this is the commercial matriarchal system. So how are they going to play that? They're going to play that with fake emotions, fake relationships, fake connections, fake interpretations of this reality with, like, you know, new age spiritualism. Best believe Oprah's ass is going to be out there talking all her Super Soul Sunday bullshit. This is why she's so quiet right now. This is why these individuals stay quiet. Best believe Will Smith is going to be out there talking all this stuff, and they're going to talk from this whole Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, we need to unify and come together and be one, and we're all human. Say this commercial version of reality. What I'm saying is that in the very own truther community, people are already doing this. This is why it's so dangerous to hold yourself accountable in these situations and not fall for this. We're all human, and I'm saying that because it's not as simple as that. And the foundation, the pillars of that reality that creates that generalization, that oversimplification of this reality, is the accepted spiritual interpretation, which is just a religious interpretation, not even getting into the spiritual interpretations of reality, is this Christian relationship to the political scene. So now you have, you know, Christians or Bible thumpers or people who are coming from that, who are only empowered. So basically Bible thumpers and Christians of today are like the Owen Benjamins and like the escaped truthers from the old Hollywood community. So this is what it is. The Christian religion, or the Bible religion, only has its power now, the biggest power that it has now, largely from the Crusades and the conquering of consciousness around the world. So instead of acknowledging where that power came from and where that power might be intending to, you know, take the consciousness and individuals as a whole, they just use that as pride now and say, oh yeah, we're the best religion. This, I'm speaking in generalities now, obviously. But this is happening. This is going on. You know, the same way that Owen Benjamin gets out talking about so-called truth, he only really has a platform because of his connection to Hollywood. And the majority of the people in Hollywood only have any kind of pull in any kind of way. Largely, it's not a far stretch at all to connect the white supremacy mind control program to Hollywood itself. Look at your White House. Look at the political scene. Look at the university system. Look at the white Oscars. Look at all this other stuff. There's no separation from that. This is not a surprise for other people too anyway. So these are these relationships that are being forcibly ignored. And when you shine a light on them, they are attacked by the individuals who they themselves think it's a non-issue. So people who are not affected by white supremacy, or think they are not affected by the white supremacy program, mind control program, think in their heart of hearts, in as far as their heart can go, that your experience dealing with white supremacy, the white supremacy mind control, in every day of your life, very obviously, they say that your experience is a non-issue. It doesn't exist, basically. Something is wrong with you. You're in low energy. These are like calling themselves spiritual people. You're low energy. You're in an old paradigm. You're in an old world. So this is you can see how that's jumping from one fucked up place to another. This is exactly what the mainstream system wants to do, or attempt to do, to get people to jump from one mind control program to another. They have to be in this in-between numb space. This is what the New Age agenda is. It's a numbing agent. It's supposed to numb you out until the next mind control program gets activated. So it's what is it? When they put you to sleep, and anesthesiologist. This is what like John Oliver is. He's an anesthesiologist. And the New Agers, they're anesthesiologists. They put you asleep until the scientists come and wake you up and tell you what's wrong with you, and tell you how they're going to fix you in the future. So all these anesthesiologists that are out there in Hollywood, in the education system, and now in the truther community, so-called, whatever the fuck that is, are now being seen for what they're doing, because now they're having to do more than they was doing before, because what they was doing before wasn't effective. It wasn't effective enough, because there's too much information, too much energy being pushed on people's own accord. They're just doing it on their own. So now this is the system's attempt to go hard, or to appear to be going hard by attacking the spiritual nature. So anyway, the point is, how the fuck does this system has the authority to talk about the spiritual nature of this reality at all? It doesn't. So this is what I'm saying. The deification of rationalizing, of rationality. Rationality based on the foundation of the university system. So yeah. Once they deify themselves, that's a deeper, that's like going from a king to a god. So it's kinged itself with the so-called intelligence of the university system, and the belief in the evolution theory, the peak of the evolution, monkey evolution through science and technology. That's how it kinged itself after the old kingship. They're telling you the old ways, closer to caveman ways, was to this is the basic human story, that's commercial human story. We evolved from cavemen to kings and queens who still acted like cavemen, to kings and kings who used money and then acted like cavemen with bombs, to spiritual kings and queens who are now peaceful. And now that you're a spiritual, peaceful king and queen, now you can go into godhood. This is why they're deifying themselves by creating a universe that they discovered, basically. This is a simulation theory. The simulation theory is not out there only to make it, give you an idea about what this universe is. The simulation theory and the CERN and, the implosion of the heliocentric universe is to give the power of to the system who so-called discovers what this universe is about. To understand this universe is to deify yourself. If you hold it, like in that micro space of personification and all that other stuff, all that other garbage, which is what this system is trying to do. So it's in the discovery of the information of the universe that gives that deified energy to the system. So in order to make that more real, they have to make it like you guys did it, like YouTubers did it. Or, you know, or other people are doing it wrong. So they have to implode the villains, who are the same people. Republicans and Democrats is one example, but this is the whole like John Oliver thing, to make it look like there's good people in the system. No, there's just Democrats and Republicans on deeper layers of consciousness, especially on this bullshit ass platform like HBO. So it's the same thing like Netflix. Another complex version of HBO is Netflix, and vice versa. So yeah, like I said, in so-called, you know, defeating the villains of the universe and discovering the final frontier of the universe, they deify themselves. So they have to do that by ignoring all of the stuff that takes their deified qualities away. So all the fucked up things that the system has done that would make it look ungodly, they have to act like don't exist. So this is what television is for. Because it's moving towards deifying itself. That's the whole point. Because as long as it's a god, you can be less than. The same way as long as it's a king, you can be a peasant or a servant or a primitive savage, even an animal. This is the whole point. So now that the system is moving from kings to gods, it's being forced to do that because your consciousness, the consciousness of the people is moving from, it's not just doing it just because it's doing it largely in defense too, because us as a people naturally, very naturally, are evolving beyond that king, you know, energetic king and God consciousness into understanding, overstanding, and understanding what the fuck that is in the first place. So what that means is that, like, it's not the internet that's doing this, it's us that's doing this. It's kind of like the internet, just like the education system was out there to de-educate us. The internet is out there not to help us, but the internet was out there to control us. The same way the mainstream media is out there to control us. We don't know how far we could have expanded our consciousness without the internet existing. Some people, some groups and cultures may know, but like now we don't know. But and this is another thing. It's so, like, people are even defending the internet right now. What if the internet was a weapon to control and manipulate and eventually, like, add to our own demise? What if that's true? Like, look at the attachments that we have to the internet. People can't even hear me say that. They're like, ooh, like me, I'm saying, because I'm saying it right now and I can feel it in my chest. Like, ooh, no. No, but for one moment, entertain that reality. Because it's, once you really go into the depths of it, it's not far-fetched at all. The internet is basically the non-physical, it's like the soul of the technology that is the body, of that synthetic body. So the internet is the soul of the synthetic machine body. So that's the straw man for us of this universe. So it's not that far-fetched to realize that this stuff could have potentially been put here for a deeper, more sinister purpose. So anyway, and I think this is going to be coming out more and more so in the future. But anyway, and like, think about this, take it even further than that. This system, not that long ago, people was thinking we lived on a globe. You know, it's not that far-fetched to think that the internet you know, is not here for you. The same thing like the mainstream media. Look at all the fucked up stuff that is on the internet. It's coming from the internet. And look at how the internet is, like I said, it's the soul of the synthetic body. All these cities, I was just driving through San Francisco the other night and saw how the skyline is completely changed. Now they have this image dancing around on lights, kind of like you see in Japanese in Japan, on the buildings out there, like very technological. So it's a big deal. This is a big thing. This is a religion. You know, you got like, this is a commercial accepted religion that's being accepted by people. So anyway, they're calling it rational to call you irrational. These are taglines and words and labels that are used to control and manipulate. If they call you crazy, then they can be remaining the authority of what is crazy and what is not crazy. This is why I said we need to start looking at the mental health crisis, the mental health system, because just like there's a physical health crisis where there's food that's out there to make you physically sick, there's a mental health crisis where there's mental food that's out there to make you mentally sick. Look at the fucking television. Look at the internet as a whole. It's designed to do that. And we can't talk about it. And the same people who are behind designing that mental health problem that is being pumped into your children, into your cousins and your uncles and aunts and your brothers and sisters every single moment of the day, they're telling you something's wrong with you for talking about that? Who gave it the authority to make that decision? And when will we address that authority at all? Will it last forever? What is the tipping point? How will we get there? Do people want to go there? Are we going to address these questions at all? Like, the same system who created a false universe to drive you crazy. The same people who created a synthetic universe to control the masses is the same consciousness, the same so-called authority that dictates what the mental health. And a lot of the reasons why we are not going to the depths of what this is because the people there's people who are controlling so-called truth. They're controlling information. This is what I was trying to make known when I was putting on blast the so-called flat earth community, when they were talking about this is the main, we need to keep the message, the focus on the message, the main message. That's dangerous. What's the main message? This is why they could never tell you the main message. Here we are 3 years later, and now you see the side effects of their main message, only to add more fuel to the flame of their system. And then to, you know, cover their own shit. Say, oh, well, all the numbers is the only thing that matters. And we just need to, no, you wasted 3 years on that old bullshit ass move. That's what that was. They spent 3 years talking about the chess game. Mind you, it's only the 1-tier chess game. They're not even going into the 3-tier chess game yet. But at least they're talking about chess. They're not talking about checkers anymore, like Alex Jones and TYT and all that. They're talking about chess. They spent 3 years looking at the chessboard, not even making a fucking move. Flat Earth versus globe. And here's a, you know, sprinkle in the mainstream media and all this other stuff. 3 years. They got the they don't even have, you know, any kind of other. They have a pawn in their hand, holding a pawn in their hand for 3 years, and they can't move it because their move on that pawn, on that chessboard, is based upon what the mainstream media's move is going to be with their pawn. That's the mainstream media is a pawn. It's not a big thing. It's tiny. When you understand what it's really for and what its limitations are. So the so-called truther community wasted, in my opinion, 3 years, because in that 3 years it could have used that. This is why I used my channel to share all that information, because there was no information. They called themselves truthers and all that other stuff, but there was no information being shared. It was just repetition, curve math and all this other non-curve, like all this other stuff. It was repetition. Nothing wrong with that. You know, people needed to see that. Is it helpful? Yeah, but in my opinion, it's counting, you know. Anyway, why I get so impassioned about this is because there's not just, you know, 1 or 2 people. There was like a whole fucking crew of people, like a village of people, a fucking village of people, or like pointing fingers and talking shit to me, my channel and people in my channel for that whole time, telling us like we were wrong for even, you know, shining a light on that. And that's really, really fucked up. And it's still happening now. It's still happening, you know, a little less, you know, because people are like seeing things and, you know, people have grown, but, you know, it's still happening. But it's not like a personal thing. It's to shine a light on the fact that this is another thing that happens that's being used to control the dialogue. And if we don't nip it in the bud right now, it's just going to be done again down the line. This is already what's happening. It's happening right now. Because people don't know how, like I said, how to think. They're still trying to figure out, you know, what to think about or what to talk about. We haven't gone from the what to the how yet, let alone even to the why yet. Just getting out of the who consciousness, you know, still sitting in the what for the majority of the time, and then trying to move from the what to the how consciousness, how things are working. This is why the mainstream media has to start talking about psychics now, to keep you from transitioning from what to how. Because psychics is really just kind of like a fancy way of keeping you from thinking about the non-physical reality. So talking about psychics is talking about, you know, death or beyond death. This is in their world. They connect you with their, you know, your past, your relatives who have passed and all that other stuff. So death is connected to fear. Fear is connected to control, controlling you, so on and so forth. So this is what all this stuff is. Like, and now look at all the emotions that people had connected to a lot of these psychics. Now realize how that's just killed now. It's just, you know, ripped out. What are they going to do now? Well, largely a lot of them are already in the New Age community. So they got them. They got them trapped. So they don't got to worry about them. They got them, they projected, they pushed them in there with Montel Williams having psychics on there and Dr. Oz having them on there in like the 80s and 90s, or, you know, whoever had Montel Williams, the first one, I remember having them on there, like the whole Donahue, that whole time frame, all that stuff, they started doing all this shit way back when. So that's when the seeds were planted. The flowers, the harvest of those seeds that were planted back then is what you're watching right now. John Oliver imploding that psychic implant and harvesting the thoughts to do what? To make you not even think about anything involving that non-physical reality, to implode it, to basically focus all your attention on science, so-called rationality, the system, but also to push other people deeper into the New Age community, because this is what happens too. other people get pushed deeper into the so-called psychic thing. They go deeper in there, and because they have nowhere else to go. People have a lack of options of thought and connection because it's all being manipulated. Think about that in reference to the internet, like I was saying before. So I'll leave it there. You can see he's just making fun of this. I just wanted to put some attention on like how this system works and how it's moving and being utilized. Having looked back at like the beyond the curve thing out there, it's behind the curve, yeah, behind the curve being out there, and all these other systems that are also being imploded and activated at the same time. It's weird. It's not weird, it's obvious. But you see what I'm talking about. These systems are being imploded, and at the same time, systems are being created or born. So I'll leave it there. I think I'm forgetting something. Psychics, implosion there. So this psychic conversation is very connected to the secret space program, ancient aliens, peoples, that whole thing. What was this? Obviously the politics. Was something else. So all the people who are on the fence within the New Age community, like a video like this makes people like not even like in reference to science, because this is also happening too in the New Age community. Science is either disconnected from spirit, or it's connected to spirit through scientism, not real science. So the New Age community doesn't have a real relationship, doesn't understand the real relationship between true science and the true spirit or the soul, because it doesn't understand. It's still adopting the old scientism perspectives of reality. So this is exactly what the mainstream community wants. It wants people to have an insecure version of science and an insecure version or perspective of the spirit, so that the system itself can install its own secure versions of both the spirit and science into your reality. But it's easier to do that when you had pre-installed all those artificial perspectives beforehand. So here's the New Age community, here's the John Oliver perspectives, and here's yeah, the university system as a whole. Yeah, so this is what I'm seeing is happening in reference to shifting of gears now. It's not a coincidence behind the curve. And then, you know, this stuff is happening right now, the politics. So as I keep saying, around 2020, these politicians are like the mouthpieces of these subconscious storylines that I'm talking about. So they dictate, just like John Oliver, they dictate which mind controls get played at certain times. So if you see the trends of what's being said by the individuals and what has been said, and then you cross-reference all the stuff, you can see what is going to be said and what's going to be done, based upon what has been utilized or has been done and been seeded and everything. So I'll leave it there, because I can go on and on and on about, you know, the seeds being planted and all that stuff, because that's basically what this is. Like, what is the seed of this psychic's storyline, and, you know, what's it designed to do, and how does it affect us, what's it's connected to, and so on and so forth. So I'll leave it there. Maybe some other people can see where I'm coming from and expand upon that. But this is not disconnected in any way from the ancient aliens, the ghost stories that are all over the mainstream television cable networks. Ghost stories, psychics, Sasquatch, all the Joe Rogan talking points, basically all the basic Ancient Aliens, Netflix talking points. Why does this stuff exist? How is it, designed, and, so on and so forth. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the support. And until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.